Okay, here we are. We're live. Man, what a day. Okay, I'm right in the middle of writing a column. At a restaurant, I have my laptop with me. I'm right in the middle of writing a column about how they just revealed that John Durham, U.S. Attorney John Durham, who's been leading the Spygate investigation, was already hard at work sitting down FBI personnel for interviews in April of 2017. So he's already hunting down the Spygate leakers. He's already on the trail of the people who were engaged in these leaking campaigns, targeting people like General Flynn and Cardi Page and, Michael Cohen. And we actually have the text messages that these FBI people are sending back and forth between each other. Well, should I keep my interview with John D? And then a few hours later, I'm going to continue to postpone my interview with Durham. So I'm doing a column. I'm right in the middle of this column. Durham's already on the job, April 2017. No, he didn't start in May 2019. I don't care what people tell you. He didn't start in May 2019. So I'm right in the middle of writing this, and look what drops. All of a sudden I get an urgent alert from somebody telling me that Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, has just declassified a bunch of documents. And these documents are a bombshell because basically it pulls back the curtain and reveals that for several years now, the Trump administration has known that they just didn't know they had documentary evidence that the Hillary Clinton campaign was behind the Russiagate hoax. So I want to briefly read this letter to you. It's a very brief letter. It's one page. It is dated today, September 29th. It is addressed to the Honorable Lindsey Graham, Chairman Committee on the Judiciary. Okay, Chairman Graham, in response to your request for intelligence community information related to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Crossfire Hurricane investigation, I have declassified the following. Now, next follows 3 bullet points. The first bullet point says this. In late July 2016, U.S. intelligence agencies obtained insight into Russian intelligence analysis alleging that U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton had approved a campaign plan to stir up a scandal against U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump by tying him to Putin and the Russians' hacking of the Democratic National Committee. The IC does not know the accuracy of this allegation or the extent to which the Russian intelligence analysis may reflect exaggeration or fabrication. Now let me walk you back through the timeline here, okay? Late July 2016, that's what it says, right? Late July 2016, yes. That is the period of time within which the Crossfire Hurricane investigation was launched. Remember, they launched it in very late July of 2017. And we now know they began that investigation of 4 Trump associates. I believe they're Cardi Page, General Flynn, George Papadopoulos, and Paul Manafort. That began as a FARA investigation, and they were trying to see if these men were illegally working as agents of a foreign country, chiefly Russia. If there were, strange financial transactions, anything of that nature. And when they couldn't find anything, they couldn't find any illegal lobbying or any illegal bribery, that's when they changed to insisting that Crossfire Hurricane had always been a counterintelligence investigation. They insisted that it started with an intelligence predicate, and it was all the way through. It was always the counterintelligence investigation. I'm pretty sure early on they were claiming that to the Inspector General investigators. But not to get too far off the track here. Okay, so this is the timeline here. It's about the same time that the FBI is opening up the Crossfire Hurricane investigation into the Trump campaign. They're being notified by the intelligence community that we received intelligence. The Russians are telling us that Hillary Clinton's about to launch an operation against the Trump campaign. Let's look at the second bullet point. According to his handwritten notes, former CIA Director Brennan subsequently briefed President Obama and other senior national security officials on the intelligence, including the alleged approval by Hillary Clinton on July 26, 2016, of a proposal from one of her foreign policy advisors to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal, claiming interference by Russian security services. Wow. So Brennan's notes, they have Brennan's notes. He's briefing Obama. These briefings are all written down. The briefings are prepared. They're outlined. They're briefing outlines. All this crap is written down. These documents exist. Brennan's notes exist. The briefing records exist. The IC referral exists about their understanding of this Western intelligence that they're hearing, that Hillary Clinton's getting ready to launch this operation against the Trump campaign. So all this stuff exists, and Ratcliffe just declassified it. Now, it's interesting the way they word this. Obviously, the first question that's going to come up is which member of the Clinton campaign team was the one that forwarded this idea that they could tie Trump to Putin and launch a scandal to influence the election. There's a lot of different candidates for that. The third bullet point. On 7 September 2016, U.S. intelligence officials forwarded an investigative referral to FBI Director James Comey and Deputy Assistant Director of Counterintelligence Peter Strzok regarding, quote, U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's approval of a plan concerning U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections as a means of distracting the public from her use of a private mail server. So all of these documents exist, and there's an official referral. They write this out. Here's what we've heard. Here's what we believe, and we would like to see this investigated on your end. CIA already heard this. They're asking the FBI to look into it. Now, of course, not only did the FBI not look into this, they buried it, and they continued to go after General Flynn, and they continued to use the Steele dossier. And the more that comes out, the worse this looks. We just found out a couple of days ago Igor Danchenko was investigated as a national security threat. And this is the guy, there's a lot of people wondering, well, why when they got the Carter Page warrant, why didn't they check this guy out first? Why did they wait until the warrant was up for its first renewal 3 months later? So they granted the warrant in October. And the surveillance warrant had to be renewed every 3 months. So they waited until January to finally send FBI agents to sit down with this guy and interview him and try to verify the information that they were already using to spy on the Trump campaign with. Now, okay, we've already been using this for 3 months to spy on the Trump campaign. Now let's go try to verify it. That always looked really shady, didn't it? Okay, well now we find out that they knew all about this Danchenko character who worked at the low-level research assistant at the Brookings Institute. They know all about this guy because they investigated him back in 2010 as a Russian agent. The symmetry of this is perfect. So they're investigating Danchenko as a Russian agent in 2010, and then 6 years later, they're using evidence, or supposedly evidence, that Danchenko gives to Christopher Steele to investigate Carter Page as a Russian agent. He couldn't write fiction this good. Okay. Let's go to the last paragraph of the letter here. As referenced in his 24 September 2020 letter to your committee, Attorney General Barr has advised that the disclosure of this information will not interfere with ongoing Department of Justice investigations. Additional declassification and public disclosure of related intelligence remains under consideration. However, the IC welcomes the opportunity to provide a classified briefing with further detail at your convenience. Now I want you to look at that sentence at the bottom there. Attorney General Barr has advised the disclosure of this information, letting it out now that Hillary Clinton had a plan, to frame Donald Trump for being a Russian stooge, and if the IC knew about this in July 2016. The FBI knew about this in July 2016, and they did not act on it, and they covered it up, and they hid this. They hid it, okay? Attorney General Barr is advised disclosing this information now will not interfere with ongoing Department of Justice investigations. Durham's finished then. Durham's not actively investigating this anymore. That's why they're declassifying it. That's why we get to see it now. This is awesome. Okay. And I just want to point out that the very first column I ever wrote for the Epoch Times was entitled The Great Leak Hunt. It was about how all those people that had spent the entire 2016 election campaign leaking against Trump, leaking against his associates, targeting these people with fake leaks or out-of-context leaks of classified intelligence, classified information, that these people were being hunted down. The hunt had started under Jeff Sessions. And now we just a couple days ago, we get the text messages. FBI agents texting each other. Wow, I got an interview scheduled with that Durham fellow. Obviously, he wants to, wants to see who's responsible for these leaks about Flynn and about Carter Page. I'm going to try to put off my interview with John Durham. This April or May of 2017. So the hunt, the great leak hunt had already started. And then it was just a couple weeks later, I did another column called The Silent Professionals. Because one thing that these recent developments in just the last 2-3 weeks have shown me is that they've known this stuff for a long time. They've had this stuff for a long time. They sat on it. They did not leak it. Nobody in Horowitz's office leaked it. Nobody in the FBI leaked it. Nobody in Durham's office leaked it. Nobody leaked it. And look at this from this angle. Couldn't Peter Strzok or James Comey or Andrew McCabe have just kind of casually let it drop at any time over the last 4 years? Well, when I sat down with John Durham for my interview back in 2017, okay, why did they never do that? Why did they never just casually leak it themselves? Durham, or we were having to sit down and talk to Durham back in 2017, man. He was looking for those leakers. You know what I think? I think somebody put the fear of God into these people. This is an active investigation. You see, I try to communicate to people the awesome, massive scope of this thing, and I struggle, man. I struggle to get it across. This thing spans the White House. It runs across the State Department. It runs into the Department of Defense. It runs into the DOJ and the FBI. It runs into the intelligence community. It's massive. Okay? It's nothing less than the biggest freaking national security case the Department of Justice has ever undertaken. Ever. So these people are not leaking shit. I've been telling people for about, it's going on 4 years now. 90% of what you think is being leaked to these media organizations like the New York Times and the Washington Post, it's fake bullshit. The real investigators aren't leaking anything. They ain't telling you shit. I mean, you think ODNI John Ratcliffe last week was sitting at his desk and goes, "Oh, I wonder what's in here," and he pulls open a drawer and, "Holy shit, look at this! He just found this stuff a week ago." Come on. No, they've had this. They've had this for a long time. They sat on it. They sat on it and nobody leaked it. Because like I've been saying, these people don't leak. Oh, and that's just something out there. A lot of people out there will never accept. You will not see this stuff until they are ready to let you see it. Okay? That information about Durham making FBI people, personnel come in and sit down with him and interview with him, trying to catch leakers. Okay, that wasn't a leak. The DOJ gave that through U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Jetson. They gave that to Sidney Powell. Here, put this in your court filing. They know it's going public, so it's like they have a problem with it. Yes. Put these text messages in the court filing. We're ready for them to know Durham was on the job in April 2017. And so that's what they did. And today, hey, okay, ODNI John Ratcliffe is ready to let us all know that they've had documentary evidence tying the Hillary Clinton campaign to the Russiagate hoax. That they were planning on this. The people have, and Brennan briefed President Obama on it. And the CIA sent an official referral. That's a document. It's like it's real. It exists. The piece of paper has got stuff written on it, okay? It says, here's what we've learned, and this needs to be looked at, okay? So you have all these guys in the DOJ and the CIA and the FBI, they're all going, wow, we're hearing rumors. We're hearing rumors that Trump is working with the Russians. He's working under the table with the Russians. We're going to invest all our time and resources in going over there and investigating Trump. We're going to get Trump. And this, well, at the very same time they were first hearing that, what were they also hearing? Well, we're hearing that Hillary Clinton is launching a fake scandal trying to tie Trump to Putin. Yeah. You know what confirmation bias is? Because, we know, okay, that a lot of these people did not want Trump to win. They were Hillary Clinton fans. And so when they heard something about, Hillary Clinton appears that a member of her team, a foreign policy advisor, told her about this idea, this operation they could launch using the media and it's fake leaks and stuff, that they create a scandal surrounding Trump leading up to the election. He's a Russian stooge. And the CIA sent a referral to the FBI saying, this needs to be looked into. And for some reason, the FBI was all gung-ho to use the Steele dossier to go after Donald Trump and Cody Page and everybody else on his campaign. At the same time, they are also getting intelligence that this is a Hillary Clinton dirty trick. And they don't appear to have done anything with it. Anybody heard from Brennan lately? You know, he comes out and says, well, you know, I found myself down with Durham, and we had a good interview, you know, and he told me that I'm not a target of the investigation. I'm home free, I'm in the clear. Yeah. That's about the last I ever heard from him. And now today we find out that he briefed Obama on this intelligence they had received about Hillary Clinton. I'll tell you something. This is great. The debate between Trump and Biden starts in about, it's 8 o'clock my time. So it's about 3.5 hours from now. Trump and Biden are scheduled to take the stage. I don't know if they actually will. You know, I always had my doubt this would actually come off. I think I said so on Twitter. I don't think this will happen. I've seen Biden fumbling his way around. I do not see this happening. It might. But Hillary Clinton is supposed to be on MSNBC or NBC News, one of these programs, about an hour before the debate's coming on for a live interview. And so they waited until today. They waited until now to drop this. Day of the first debate that they've had, but probably, I wouldn't be surprised they had this from the beginning, you know. And they're saying, yes, Durham found it. Yeah, they don't tell you when Durham found it. Remember, this guy's been on the job since April of 2017. When did he find it? Okay, when did he get the handoff from John Huber? They don't tell you. They just tell you that it happened. This came from Durham, but they don't tell you when he found it, you know. And John Huber did the handoff of the Clinton, the result of his Clinton investigation. He handed that off to John Durham, but they don't tell you when that handoff happened. So, you know, they're doing it now. They're right in the middle of it right now, saying, you know, the Russians want Trump to win. The Russians are behind Trump. They're doing the same shit they were doing 4 years ago. They never stopped, really. And they're still talking about the Russians own Trump. They've been out there, you know, doing it now. So Clinton is kind of faded into the background. Nobody pays attention to her anymore because Trump essentially retired her from public life. And I'll tell you something, you know, I can't wait to see Trump retire the Bidens the same way he retired the Clintons. He's going to completely expose everything these people did. It's going to be exposed. And you see, I was trying to explain to somebody on Twitter a while back to try to say, well, this doesn't mean anything. We've always known this. We've always known Hillary Clinton was behind this. Yes. In a sense, we didn't know they were behind this. What's different is, this is what Ratcliffe just did. He declassified documentary evidence showing that the proper authorities in government, just as they were getting ready to launch an extensive spying operation against the Trump campaign, they had the same type of information that the Hillary Clinton campaign was pulling a dirty trick here. For some reason, they went all in on one, going against Trump, and they completely ignored and covered up the other one about Hillary Clinton. And so this is huge, you know, that Ratcliffe dropped this today. You know, if this is what they're dropping at the end of September, I can't wait to see what drops in October. You know, because that's when you drop your October surprise. It's usually sometime in that time frame, 2 weeks to the election. 2 weeks to the election is when you generally want to drop your October surprise. Okay, I'll tell you right now, the Democrats have nothing. They're going back to the same stupid crap the Trump tax story, the Trump hates the military stories, the Trump hates Christians stories. Talk about a bare cupboard. You talk about desperation. I mean, you know he hates the military. You don't care about the military. You know he hates Christians. The social democratic left, the socialist democratic left doesn't like the military. They hate the Christians. They hate the police. It's no secret here. So all they're trying to do is desperate gaslighting for the last couple of weeks. They're trying to convince Trump's base to abandon him. It's comical to watch. And then, that's the kind of crap they're pushing, and it's not working, nothing's happening. And then when Trump and his people decide to drop something, it's like a MOAB, the mother of all bombs. It's a real bombshell. And today something landed on Hillary Clinton, because this is documentary evidence. We're going to be able, Graham's working on this right now. So he's working to get as much of this declassified and out to the public that he can. Brennan's notes, the intelligence referral, and all this stuff that they kept back, and it's been that we didn't know that they had it. Okay, they probably had it for years. They're letting it out now. And it's a great time to be alive. A lot of people do nothing all day but read full porn. They read about how Trump's losing. They watch too much TV, I think. They watch too much of the DNC media. They get this idea Trump's behind. He's trying an 11th hour reset, trying to change his record because he's fading and he's thinking, and he's getting his ass kicked by a dementia patient. People say, well, they're going to steal this election. They're going to steal it, and look, go vote on election day. It's over. It's over on election day. You go vote. You go vote in person. Do not mail your vote in. Do not mail your vote in. Whatever it takes, go vote in person. And we need to look back to the last 2 years since the 2018 midterms. Okay, the Democrats have gone stark raving insane. All right, their base has shrunk to the point that I'm telling you, they would need to manufacture something on the order of 100 million votes or something like that, just to make it close in some of these. All across the country, they can steal the close ones when they just need to come up with a 2 or 3% when it's close. Okay, but when your base shrank and the other guy's base grew. Okay, you're talking about a gap there. 2 or 3%, like a couple thousand votes, is not going to do it. Okay. So there's a lot of exciting things to look forward to. Things are happening. I've been saying all along, serious people are in charge of this. Most of the conservative pundits out there, their job is to get you to watch. Their job is to get the ratings, the clicks, the views. It's to get you to listen, okay? And we're not going to do that by saying Trump's got this in the bag. Trump's got this worked out. There's a Trump slide coming, Trump is holding things back. He'll drop them when he's ready. And when he's done with the Democratic Party will be absolutely destroyed, okay? That's not going to get you a whole lot of clicks. That's not going to get you a whole lot of views. Now I'm saying, oh my God, Trump's making a huge mistake here. Look what he just did. He's playing into Biden's hands. He won't get off Twitter. He won't stop insulting people on Twitter. He's making all these wrong moves. He hasn't fired Barr yet. He hasn't done all these other things that we think we should do. And I'll tell you something about most conservative pundits. They come with this attitude that I'd make a fantastic Trump advisor. Trump should be listening to me, not those other guys. He should be listening to me. Man, if Trump was listening to you, he'd be out of office a long time ago. I don't have any illusions. I give Trump advice, tell him what he should do. You ever notice that? Well, here's where Trump made a mistake. What he should do is, hey, remember back when the Kurdish genocide was supposedly coming? Well, Trump's made a huge mistake here. This is not something we should be doing to our allies. You know how many conservative pundits were doing that? They totally bought into it. Well, Trump's made a huge mistake here. He should not do this. I'll tell you what, it all boils down to this. They think they're smarter than Trump. They think they're better informed than Trump. And they're not. That's bullshit. You're not better informed than Trump, and you're not smarter than he is. That's where like 90% of conservative pundits go wrong right there. They go wrong right there. I'm better informed than Trump, and I know what Trump should be doing, and he won't do it. Okay, so he's just getting bad advice. He needs to get rid of those other guys and get me in there. I'll set him straight. I don't have any illusions about being smarter than Trump. I don't have any illusions about giving this president advice. Okay, I am not presidential advisor material. I'll tell you that right up front. Okay, because I guarantee you, all these pundits on TV, the Stearns and the Marks and the Dans and all these guys, they would have said, man, look, don't hold this back. They were told it back in 2017. Charge right into the guns, man. Charge right into those guns. Take them on head on right now, Tell Sessions to sound the bugle call. Let's ride straight into the guns. Let's go out in a blaze of glory. Dumbasses. I mean, because if he listened to these people, his presidency would be in shambles right now. If he'd gone in 2017, if he tried the stuff that they were screaming for him to do in 2017, if he hadn't prepared the ground first, well, we'd be in a hell of a fix right now. So, like I say a lot of times on Twitter, thank God he doesn't listen to these people. Thank God Trump does not listen to these conservative pundits. Thank God he doesn't listen to them. And he's doing things the right way, the smart way. And he's got a lot of stuff that will be dropping in the next 30, it's like September 29th. And there are 31 days in October, so we're like 36 days from the election. 34, something like that. I'm terrible at math. I fucked every math class I ever took. Okay, but Trump is in control here. He knows what he's doing. So these people just have doubts about Trump. They don't trust Trump. They see they do the same thing the lefties do. They see the fake orange tan. They see the orange outrageous hair, and deep down, they think he's a moron. They think he's not that smart. They think he's lucky. It's just, man, it's incredibly lucky. Okay, but you look at what happened starting in April. This was all set. They prepared the ground for this. Starting in April, when the Flynn case suddenly blew up, when Jeffrey Jensen showed up and started handing off those documents to Sidney Powell. Okay, that's when it started. Okay, and since April all the way through, all the stuff that's come out, and now this latest drop, yes, Clinton was behind all of this. They can prove it. It's documented. And they'll be able to prove that Comey and Brennan and Strzok and all these guys, they had all this information, and they didn't act on it. Instead, they turned around and they did a literal witch hunt targeting the president and his associates. And I'll turn that be fake information. Yeah. So, God bless Odie and Ari Ratcliffe, because like I'm saying, he just didn't look in a drawer and find this stuff last week. I'm sorry, folks, that's not what happened. They had this for a long time. They had these handwritten notes. They had the investigative referral sent to FBI Director James Comey. They had all this stuff. They didn't. They waited to drop it for maximum effect. That's what they did. So, there's serious people in charge of this. Trump, if there's one thing I want you to get out of this, is that Trump knows what he's doing. And he's hired good people who take this seriously. They take their job seriously. They're in charge of the timing of this. And if you still don't get it at this point, you still don't get what they're doing with the timing of these drops and how it's all being laid out over time. Drip, 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 drip. I mean, but this was they set up a couple drip, drip, drips over the last couple of weeks. They let it out, that Huber handed it off to Durham. That was just a couple days ago. They just let that out. And then they dripped out, the FBI text messages. These FBI agents saying to each other, yeah, I'm going to continue postponing my interview with Durham in 2017. Drip, 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 drip. And then boom! The bomb drops. Oh, wow. They were told back in July 2017, the Hillary Clinton campaign was planning this dirty trick to frame Donald Trump for being a Russian agent. And they didn't act on it, and they suppressed it. So they suppressed something that was true to pursue something that was fake, and they knew it was fake. So, when John Durham starts investigating the Spygate leaks, and we don't know that he started in April 2017. The FBI agents are talking to each other that he's being given the investigation in April 2017, and by May they're talking about having to go interview with him, whether they should keep putting it off or just get it over with and go sit down with Durham and be interviewed to see if they're involved in these leaks that have been going on. Okay, but all this stuff was going on. And they knew the still stuff was fake. They knew it was fake. They created the whole Russiagate thing. They helped it along with their leaks. They all targeted the Trump campaign. They knew they were doing the Hillary Clinton campaign's bidding. They knew they were doing what Hillary wanted. And so all of a sudden, just as they're getting ready to open Crossfire Hurricane in July 2017, here comes the IC, the intelligence community, with a referral. Hillary Clinton is planning to launch a dirty trick, trying to create a fake scandal around Donald Trump that he's a Russian agent. Okay? And like, well, yeah, we know we're involved in it. We've been doing this leaking campaign all through the early months of, like April, May, June, all that stuff coming out there. All of a sudden, they're told the IC, so when we heard that this is going on. Hillary Clinton's getting ready to launch a dirty trick against Trump. Would you guys want to look into this? And I said, yeah, well, thanks, okay. And then they buried it and didn't do anything. So they drip this stuff out. They let us see it and drip, but that's all set up. That's all to set it up. Okay? They're going to do it. They're going to do this their way. I understand a lot of people don't agree with it. A lot of people want them to hurry up. Okay? I think it happened 2-3 years ago. Yeah, okay, great. Doesn't change anything. They're not doing it how you want. I understand that. Doesn't change anything. Okay, so I'm just showing you. They did the drip thing. FBI text messages about Durham. Huber doing the handoff to Durham. Okay, and then it says right there, Catherine Harrods had a tweet a couple minutes ago that this stuff came from Durham. Durham is said to have found these notes. Like I said earlier, they don't tell you when he found them. They just tell you that he found them. It came from him. Okay, and it's obvious to me that when he dug in to the Spygate leaks back in April of 2017, and he started to look into why these coordinated leaking campaigns were being done out of top government agencies that were targeting General Flynn. They were targeting Carter Page. He starts looking into why they were doing this. I guarantee you that led him straight to the Russiagate hoax. And when he starts investigating the Russiagate hoax, that led him straight to the Hillary Clinton campaign. And so that's where we're at, and that's why this drop happened today. It came from Planet Durham, okay? So just more foreshadowing about where things are going. I know there are people out there telling you every day, nothing's happening until the election. Nothing's going to happen. There'll be no indictments. Maria Bartiromo said on the show, sources say there will be no indictments. Okay. Yeah, okay, fine. They've been long before him. Sometimes these sources are not infallible. And I'll point out that I have another person whose sources have been good in the past. Fool Nelson on Twitter says one of his sources is telling him that, yeah, there won't be any indictments, but before the election gets here, you will see key Spygate players come out and announce that they are making plea deals with Durham. They're agreeing to plead guilty in exchange for a lesser sentence. A lot of people say, well, we don't want that. We want indictments. Okay, fine. Well, look, I broke this down in a thread the other day. I got a couple of minutes. Let me break this down for you guys here real quick, okay? When a prosecutor is getting an indictment against somebody using a grand jury, all right, people need to focus on this. A grand jury hearing is not the trial, okay? It's not the trial. The prosecutor does not have to show the grand jury all of the evidence. He does not have to show the defendant all of the evidence. What the prosecutor had to do, he had to show just enough evidence to sustain a charge, to get the grand jury to say, yes, there is probable cause, there's sufficient evidence to believe this person committed this crime, and we will return an indictment against them. Okay, but the prosecutor, I want you to understand this, he doesn't have to show everything he or she has at that point. The goal is just to get the indictment. Okay. Now, once they've got the indictment in hand, the prosecutor goes to the defendant and they start negotiating. Okay. I had enough evidence that I presented to a grand jury that these people returned this indictment against you. They believed you committed this crime. So I'm going to give you a chance to accept a plea deal right now. Now, this won't have to go to trial. You just agree, that you plead guilty, you say you committed this crime, and you get a reduced sentence for cooperating. Okay, now here's the key thing. Depending on what that defendant and his lawyer think of the prosecution's case, what they saw of it, that's going to determine what they decide to do. Now the indictment hasn't been made public yet. They've just been informed. You have been indicted by the grand jury, but it's not public yet. And then the negotiations begin. Now, at that point, based on what the defendant and his lawyer know about the case the prosecutor had, that's going to determine what they decide to do. Now, if they look at the amount of evidence that they've seen the prosecution have, not that they suspect or that they guess, they've seen the prosecution have. Okay, sometimes defendants go, I don't think, they say to the lawyer, I don't think they can prove this in court. I think we can beat this guy in court. I don't think I've seen enough evidence from him that he can prove this. Okay, that's when the defendant will not take a deal. They don't. Now, sometimes prosecutors don't even offer it. They want to go to trial. They don't even try to do a deal. They say, I've indicted you. We're going to trial. I'm not even going to offer you anything. Okay? But most times, prosecutors will try to get a deal. They'll try to speed things up. So, based on what they've seen, the defendant will confer with his lawyer. Do you think he can prove this? Because, remember, if you take the plea deal, you'll do like 2 or 3 years. You go to trial and you lose, you get convicted. You ain't going to do 3 to 4 years. You'll do 7 or 8 years, maybe more. Okay, you do more things. You say, I think I can beat this guy in court, and you lose, you're really going to pay. You will really pay for that. So all these defendants, they're carefully watching during the grand jury. They brought in to testify to what they think the prosecution has. And I'll tell you that the better the case the prosecutor let these defendants see, the more these defendants are willing to do a plea deal. Because if you go in there and you see the indictment that's been made against you, and it doesn't have all the evidence in it, but it has enough. And you go, I can't risk trying to beat this guy in court. Look at all I thought he had like maybe 25% of the evidence. I'm looking at this indictment. He's got like 75% more than I thought he did. And he goes, damn, you only turn down the deal if you're offered one. If you're convinced you can beat this prosecutor's case in court, the only time you should do that. And what some people are hearing is that a lot of these Spygate plotters have seen enough. They've seen enough of the evidence in their indictment. They've seen their indictments. Their indictments have not been publicly unsealed yet. But they've seen what Durham has. And they are, several of them, not all of them, struck with every deal. McCabe, no. But there are others. They've seen what Durham has, and they've gone to their lawyers, they've advised them, look, he's got you cold, man. He's got you by the balls. You turn this deal down and you go into court, you're going to do major time. So make it easy on yourself. Take the deal. So that's what some people are hearing. And some of these people have had good sources in the past. There are a couple of major Spygate players that are looking for deals right now because they know if they take this into court against Durham, with the evidence he's got, the chances are not good. So the next 30 days are really going to be like, now we're watching September end like this with a drop like this, showing, we don't just have to guess anymore that Hillary Clinton was behind this. They found evidence, and they went and they briefed Obama, and they did a referral to the FBI. And Comey buried it, and all these bad actors buried it, and they've hidden it. They haven't talked about it. Did Comey ever even hint that he had heard an intelligence assessment, an intelligence referral to investigate the Clinton campaign for trying to frame the Trump campaign for being a Russian stooge? No. I never even heard it intimated. Or Brennan. Has Brennan ever let on, well, yeah, early on when we were getting ready to go after the Trump campaign and prove that Trump was a Putin agent, we were also told, that there was intelligence that Hillary Clinton was getting ready to launch this operation to create a scandal around the Trump campaign. So these same people, man, they buried one, they pursued the other. It's 100% political. It was 100% political. So I'm looking forward to this debate tonight. Right now they're saying the Biden camp backed out of as you can see, I wear hearing aids. I wear 2 hearing aids, and some people think for some time it looks like Biden's been getting coached. He's getting answers. He has like a receiver built into his head now. He's not wearing a hearing aid. He had like a a bone conduction hearing device implanted in his head. And so he's been using that. People have been feeding him answers. And so Trump had to add the condition for the debate tonight that they would both have their ears checked, examined before the debate. And a couple of days ago, Biden camp said, okay, fine, we have a problem with that. And then today they backed out. So they might be trying to use that as an excuse to cancel it. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure this thing's after coming off until they're both up there on the stage. And it's scheduled to take place in about 2 hours. 3 hours, 8 o'clock my time. So if Trump was really smart, he'd have Biden's new grandchild in the audience with his mom. I wouldn't put that past Trump to do that. Remember, he brought in those people that Bill Clinton had assaulted. He brought him in for one of the debates with Hillary. You still remember that picture? That picture of Bill Clinton. It's right there. Bill Clinton looking at Juanita Broderick and Kathleen Willey. He's right there in the middle row. The look on his face, that's a famous picture. I think that's when he realized that's the moment Bill Clinton lost any illusions that Trump was serious about winning that election. So, so much stuff came out this week about Hunter Biden. $3.5 million from the wife of a Russian oligarch. And this, we're finding this out now after they just spent 4 years telling us that the Trump family is up to its eyeballs in Russian bribery and corruption. It turns out they had evidence all along where the real bribery is, where the real corrupt family is, and it's not the Trump family. $3.5 million, sent to Hunter Biden while his dad is the vice president of the United States. If some Russian oligarch or some Chinese guy had been found to be wiring millions of dollars to Donald Trump Jr., I tell you, the media would have shit themselves if that happened. Think about everything we know about Hunter Biden, okay? If Donald Trump Jr. had knocked up a stripper and gotten her pregnant and then denied he was the father until a court-ordered paternity test established that he was the daddy, if Donald Trump Jr. had done that, all of America would know about it. They will never hear the end of it. Well, Hunter Biden did that. He didn't want to pay any child support. First, he denied that he got her pregnant. Then he didn't want to pay any child support. He was forced to take a court-ordered DNA test. And it shows you the character of these people. Everybody attacks the Trumps. They say the Trumps are unbelievably corrupt. Well, let me tell you something. The Trumps made their money before they got into politics. As a matter of fact, being in politics since he started running for president has cost Trump a major amount of money. He is losing money being president. And that's what makes this whole tax thing so hysterically funny. For years they're after his tax records because they think they're going to prove massive Russian bribery here. They're going to prove he's taking all these millions of dollars from Putin. And it turns out that the best they can come up with is that they lie about him paying only $750 in taxes for 2 years, which is bullshit. Yeah. They're actively lying about taxes, about how taxes are paid. It's unbelievable. Meanwhile, the Biden family's out there cavorting openly and doing, this is why, when Trump won, You see, Hillary was supposed to win. All these people were comfortable doing what they were doing out in the open. Who would ever challenge them? Who would ever stop them? Hillary was one of them, and she was the shoe-in. She was sure to win. And all of a sudden, Trump wins. And one of the things I'm looking forward to tonight with this debate, if it comes about, is I can't wait to see what Biden does when I'm pretty sure that, okay, if Chris Wallace doesn't ask him, I am certain Trump will find a way to bring it up that Biden is going to be no better prepared to answer questions about how Hunter made all that money, why all these millions of dollars were being sent to Hunter Biden, why he was being gifted with positions on corporate boards when he had no experience in these industries. And it's not just Burisma in Ukraine. He sat on a Chinese board also. He sat on the board of a Chinese company. It wasn't just Ukraine. He got a sweetheart position with a Chinese company. And when Joe Biden was asked about this, he was not ready to answer the question. I'm going to play the video clip right now. He was not ready to answer it.
Policy in Ukraine and your son's job in Ukraine. How is that not a conflict of interest?
It's not a conflict of interest. There's
And I can't hear it.
indication of any conflict of interest from Ukraine or anywhere else. Period. I'm not gonna respond to that. Let's focus on the problem. Focus on this
so
man.
it says from
what
Donald
he's doing
Trump Jr.
that no president has ever done. No president.
Let me just paste that into the chat then so you guys can see that. Okay. Well, if you watch Biden's body language during
It's not a conflict of interest.
that
There's been no
exchange.
indication of
Okay.
any conflict
And
of interest.
this was from last year. Okay. This was over a year ago.
Let's focus on the problem.
The story about Hunter having that position on the Burisma board and hundreds of thousands of dollars he was paid, that had been out there for years, and it only had become a campaign issue
How is that not a
about 2 weeks before that. So he had 2 weeks to get ready to answer these questions.
Period. I'm not gonna respond.
2 weeks.
Let's focus on the
And,
problem. Focus on this man.
The only thing
what
he
he's
could
doing
think of to
that no
do
president has ever done.
was to get pissed and blow his top. And I watched him do that several times. And so reporters just quit asking him. They just stopped asking him. But it will come up tonight. I'm pretty sure it will. With the Senate report coming out this week, $3.5 million, and that's just some of this money. There are millions of dollars passing through this guy's hands. While his dad is vice president of the United States. Are they just giving him this money out of the goodness of their hearts? They're not expecting anything in return for these millions of dollars? I kind of doubt that. So that's going to come up tonight. Now Biden's had a year to get ready to answer it. But we saw how he answered it when he had 2 weeks. I don't think he'll be any more prepared today to talk about why Hunter Biden was being given these corporate board positions or why these millions of dollars were passing through Hunter Biden's hands. Not going to be any more prepared to talk about that or answer a question about that than he was a year ago. And if Chris Wallace won't ask him, I guarantee you Trump will find a way to bring it up himself. Okay. Well, I talked about this when the debate moderators were announced. There are two things. The debate moderators were announced, and Trump did that town hall with George Stephanopoulos, okay, of ABC News. And people went, oh, that's a mistake. Oh, that's a huge mistake. Trump going on to ABC News, that's a hostile environment. George Stephanopoulos. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Trump goes out there and faces a hostile press every single day. You see how many press conferences he's done since March? Almost every other day goes out there and faces a hostile press. So I was listening to all these people saying, it's just so sad. Trump's going to go out there and George Stephanopoulos, is going to ask him one hostile question, and Trump's going to lose his mojo. And Trump's going to be embarrassed. And Trump's going to start bombing. And so you have people out there saying the same thing today. Trump went in there with Stephanopoulos. He didn't lose his mojo. He owned that place. Okay? And people are like, oh, well, Chris Wallace is not going to be fair to Trump. Yeah? You think Trump doesn't know that? You think Trump isn't ready for that? You think there's nothing Trump can do about that? One of the hardest things about being a Trump supporter is constantly encountering people who supposedly are Trump supporters who have no faith whatsoever in the man, even after 4 years of watching him work. Don't have any faith in him. Well, he's making a huge mistake here. Yeah, okay, buddy, sure. Dumbass. So if this debate comes out, then I fully expect Trump to destroy Biden. Oh, I remember something else I wanted to share with you guys. Okay, I did a thread about this earlier today. Let me see if I can find it. About all the polls from 20. Okay, I found it. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I save it, and then I'm gonna try to post it. All the polls from 2016 where the media looked at the debates, Trump, they just wasn't. The general election debates, you had the primary debates, and then you had the general election debates. Okay, looking for it here. Okay, found it. Okay, it should come up in a second. So, according to the media, Trump didn't win a single debate in 2015 or 2016. He lost every single debate against that GOP primary field. He was abysmal in the debates against Jeb Bush and all these other guys, to hear them tell it. Okay, and then he had 3 debates with Hillary Clinton. Did he win any of them? Well, according to the media, no, he didn't. He lost all 3 of them. The highest he ever got was 32% from the second debate. So, be prepared for this, okay? They got 2016 totally wrong. Okay, Trump secured that nomination against what was the deepest and most experienced GOP field of politicians, of professional politicians ever. And he smoked them. Oh, but he lost every debate, to hear the media tell it. And then he went out there and he beat Hillary's ass like a drum. But he lost every debate with her, to hear the media tell it. So I'm just telling you, be prepared for this, okay? Because when this debate is over, I guarantee you, a lot of these media hacks out there, they have their stories pre-written. All Biden has to do is show up and not faint on stage or fall asleep, and they'll declare him the winner, okay? The bar is so low here. That's all he has to do. So they're already prepared to say, wow, what an amazing performance by Joe Biden tonight. They're already ready to roll that out. And I think that's why Trump has to stomp this guy. And I was telling people, last week, some of the things that Trump is going to have to do to destroy this Democratic Party. Some of you are going to be tempted at the end to start saying, no, stop! He's already dead! You can stop now, okay? Let's show a little mercy. Let's back off. Let's not, okay? When you come to fully understand what these elites were planning for this country, how they were perfectly fine with sabotaging the middle class and the white, blue-collar working class. They were perfectly fine with shipping all those jobs overseas to China and elsewhere. They were fine with that because they were being paid. They were making bank. They were making bank on that. And they were perfectly fine with all these overseas wars and shipping our military over there and increasing our military footprint on all these foreign countries. They were perfectly fine with that because they were making bank. Okay. I expect a lot of shit to drop in October. I do. Maybe not indictments. Hey, maybe Maria Bartiromo heard right. But there will be shit dropping. Trust me on that. There are serious people in charge of this. So I'm going to go upstairs and take a nap because I want to be wide awake and ready, and maybe I even take a shave. Okay, and make sure I'm all clean and fresh to watch the spectacle tonight in case this debate actually comes off. I'll probably live tweet it. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. So, wow, about 85 of you stuck with me all the way through this long, rambling live stream. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. God bless you and God bless America.